So welcome again. Today we shall be learning about moderation analysis in AMOS. We shall be looking at moderation analysis in AMOS, and this one is as a long tutorial whereby I will be teaching in various videos. So for this particular video, we are going to look at what is moderation analysis. So it is a series. We shall be looking at moderation analysis in AMOS, but in this case or in this video, we are going to understand what is moderation analysis. So by definition, we say that moderation analysis refers to the process of testing the effect of a moderator variable, on the relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. So what you are saying is we have the independent variable here, we call it x, and then we have the dependent variable, we call it y. We already know that independent variable affects the dependent variable, but then there comes another variable, another external variable, which affects or which influences this relationship. So what you want to see is how does the third variable we are calling the moderator variable, how does it influence the relationship between the independent and the dependent variable. So that one we call it the moderation analysis. So if we continue, we also have something else to note, that moderation is whereby the direct influence of an independent variable on dependent variable is altered. It is altered or it is changed because of a third variable. And that variable is what we are calling the moderator variable. So when the moderator variable comes in, it affects, it alters, it changes the relationship between the dependent and the independent variable. So another thing we have to note is that the moderator can influence the strength. It can influence the strength and sometimes the direction or the sign. The direction or the sign of the relationship between the independent and the dependent variable. What we are saying is maybe the strength is 0.5, but when now you plug in the moderation variable, the moderator variable, the strength improves maybe to 0.7 or reduces to 0.2. It may also change the sign. Maybe we may have that the dependent variable has a positive effect on the independent variable has a positive effect on the dependent variable. But when we introduce the moderator variable, the sign changes. Now it becomes a negative. So it may influence the strength or may influence the direction on the sign of the relationship between the dependent and the independent variable. And then we can look at an example. So suppose we want to study how work stress affects job performance. We want to understand how work stress affects job performance. So however, we suspect that another variable called mental health influences or changes this relationship. So how do we go about it? So in this case, we have the work stress, which is our x variable, our independent variable. Then it affects job performance. Definitely we know that if someone has work stress, then the job performance will go down. But then there is also another variable called mental health. How does it influence the relationship between the work stress and job performance? So now, carrying out an analysis to see whether the mental health influences the relationship between the work stress and job performance, we shall be conducting what? We shall be conducting what we are calling the moderation analysis. So this one is a very good example. So we say if the mental health, you can say that if the mental health actually weakens or strengthens this relationship, then we can say that the moderator is significant, or we can say that there is some moderation effect. So that is generally what is moderation analysis. We have looked at the moderation analysis, we have defined it, and we also have looked at an example whereby the work stress is the independent variable, the job performance is the dependent. So now on the next video, we are going to look at the steps that we carry, or the process that we follow when carrying out the modulation analysis in AMOS. So make sure to watch the next video. Thank you. So in this video we are going to discuss the process of testing modulation analysis in AMOS. So this is the second video in the series of modulation analysis in AMOS. So this is the second video where we are going to learn the steps that we follow, or the process that we follow when we are testing modulation analysis in AMOS. So the first step is setting the research objectives. The first step is actually setting up the research objectives. So this is the first step. We set up the research objectives. So our research objective is to determine if mental health moderate the effect of work stress, which is our independent variable, on job performance, which is the Y variable, or the dependent variable. So the objective is to determine, does this mental health moderate the relationship between work stress and the job performance. So the next step is to determine the variables of the study, or to come up with the variables of the study. So we have three variables in this study. The first one is work stress, is our independent variable. Then we have the job performance, which is our dependent variable, and then we have mental health, which is our moderating, or the moderator variable. Then we go to the next step number 3. Step number 3 is to compute the standardized values. So we are computing the standardized values for the independent variables, the dependent variables, as well as the moderator variable. We are calculating the standardized values for the independent variable, the dependent variable, as well as for the moderator variable. The reason as to why we calculate the standardized variables is to cater for the multicollinearity. This one caters for the multicollinearity. So instead of using the actual values, we are going to be using the standardized values. So we call them the Z values. So we have the standardized value for X, that is our independent variable, the standardized values for Y, which is our dependent variable, and also the standardized values for M, which is our moderator variable. Then the next step, number 4, is to compute the interaction term. So the interaction term between the independent variable and the moderator variable. So by interaction term we mean the product of the two variables. So we take the independent variable here and we multiply by the moderator variable. So to get the interaction term, you multiply the independent variable with the moderator variable, that is X multiplied by M. So then we go to the last step number 5, which means you run the model in AMOS and check the results. So we will have a model like this, whereby we have one variable which is our work stress, which is our independent variable. Then we have the mental health. Mental health is our moderator variable. Then we have the interaction term here. This is the interaction term. The interaction term is the product of work stress and mental health, is the product or the multiplication of X multiplied by M. So we run the model on AMOS and try to see what is the effect of X on job performance, what is the effect of M on job performance, and what is the effect of interaction term on job performance. So our interest is this here, this interaction term. This interaction term variable is what we are interested in. So this is the one that will tell us whether we have a modulation effect or not. So it is the one that we are going to check, so that we can be able to tell, does mental health moderate the effect of stress on performance. So when we get the results, how do we interpret these results? So we are saying, if the interaction term is significant, that means the p-value is less than 0.05, then modulation effect, or the modulation exists, and vice versa. That means if the interaction term is not significant, If it is not significant, then we say there is no moderation effect. But if it is significant, then there is moderation effect. So what we are saying is, if the product of x multiplied by m, which we are calling now the interaction term, is significant, then moderation exists. If not, moderation is absent. So these are the 5 steps which we follow when we are conducting the moderation analysis in AMOS. So the next step, in the next video, we are going to learn how to carry out the actual analysis using the actual data. So we are going to carry out the analysis in SPSS software as well as in AMOS software. So make sure you check the next video. So welcome again to the report analytics. In this video, we are going to learn how to conduct moderation analysis in SPSS AMOS. So this is part 3 of the series of the videos that we have been making. In our previous video, we were looking at the process of testing the moderation analysis in AMOS. We are looking at the step-by-step process, and we said that there are 5 steps, whereby the first step is getting the research objectives, whereby in this case we want to determine if mental health moderate the effect of stress on job performance. And then the next step is to determine the variables, whereby we saw that we have 3 variables: work stress, job performance, and mental health. And then step 3, we said that we compute the standardized values. Step 4, we said that we compute the interaction term. And then we came up with the model that we have, whereby this work stress is our independent variable, mental health is our moderator, so our moderating variable, and then job performance is our dependent variable. This is what we are calling the interaction term between the independent and the moderator variable. So now we shall go, or we shall follow these steps one by one in learning this moderation analysis in AMOS and SPSS. So the first thing that we have to do, already we have set the objective. We are saying that we want to determine if mental health moderate the effect of work stress on job performance. That is our objective. So the next thing is to determine the variables. Our variables is mental health, work stress, and job performance. So we come here to SPSS and we look at this data. This is our data. So we have 3 variables: work stress. So this work stress has been measured by 5 observed variables, or a Likert scale was used to collect this data. So we have 5 observations, or this work stress was measured by 5 observations. The same thing to mental health, it was measured by 5 observations, mental health 1 to mental health 5. And then job performance was measured by 5 questions, or 5 questions were used to measure job performance. Therefore we have 5 observed variables. So the first thing that we have to do is that we have to get the mean of all these variables. We have to get the average of these variables, so that now we can have an average variable for each of the 5 questions. To calculate the mean, you go to transform, and then you go to compute variable, and then you come here and look for statistics. You come to function group and look for statistical. You click statistical, then you click mean here. Then there is this arrow, you click it, and then this mean will be presented up there. So we will be finding them. So here is the target variable. Let's call it you can call it work stress. You can call it work stress. You can call it work stress, like that. Work stress mean. You can call it work stress mean, and then you can also call it as work stress mean. Work stress mean. Then you continue. So now, we will be finding the mean of work stress 1, work stress 2, work stress 3, work stress 4, and work stress 5. So that is how you click on each of these work stress variables, and then you put a comma, so that now you get the mean of the 5, and then you click OK, and then that variable will be created. You can see it has already been created here. So if you come to your data, you'll find that work stress mean has been calculated. Then you do the same for the mental health. You come to transform compute variable, and then in this case now we are creating the mental health. So we call it mental health. We come here able, we change it to mental health. Then you click continue. Then on this one we are no longer dealing with work stress at the moment. We are dealing with mental health. So you click mental health 1, you put a comma. Click mental health 2, put a comma. You put a comma. Click mental health 3, put a comma. Mental health 4, click put a comma. Mental health 5, and then you click OK. And then that variable will be created, and then you finish by the last one. You click transform compute variable. So in this case we are dealing with job performance. So now we want to calculate the job performance mean. So change the label job performance, then you click continue. Then you come here, delete these ones, and then you click job performance 1, you put a comma. So here you put a comma there. Job performance 2, put a comma. Job performance 2, you put a comma. Job performance 3, you put a comma. So job performance 4, you put a comma. And then job performance 5, then you close the bracket. Then after that one, then you click OK, and then you can see that the 3 variables has been created. Now we have the mean of work stress, the mean of mental health, and the mean of job performance. So now we have defined the variables. So the next step, as we had discussed, the next step is to, we have determined the variables. So the next step is to calculate the standardized values. So to calculate the standardized values, you go back to our SPSS software, then you click here analyze, click descriptive statistics, you click descriptive statistics like that. Then you move the 3 variables. These 3 variables, you move them to the variables section, and then you check this box here, save standardized value as variables, and you click OK. When you do that, then you'll be presented by the standardized. You can see we have the z's, they are called z values or the standardized values. So you can see they have been created, all of them 3 here. So we have the z values for the mean of work stress, the standardized values for the mean of mental health, and the standardized value for the mean of job performance. So now we are done with that step, and then we check. So that one is done, step number 3. Then we go to step number 4. Step number 4 is compute the interaction term between the independent and the moderator. So if we come here, we know that this is work stress is our independent and the mental health is our moderator. So what we want to create is the interaction term between the work stress and the mental health. So we go back to our SPSS software, and then we want to create the interaction term between work stress and mental health. So to create the interaction term, you come here to transform. Because you want to create a new variable, you compute a new variable. So you delete everything. So in this case, we want to calculate the product of the 2. So here we want to create the interaction term. So we can say, we can call this variable as let's call it interaction term. And this interaction term is made up of the product of, or the multiplication of, the work stress multiplied by mental health. So this interaction term, we come here and we also change, we call it interaction term like that. So it is a product of work stress the mean of work stress and the mean of mental health. So it is a product of our independent variable and our moderator variable. So then you click OK. So when you click OK, you find that that interaction term has already been created. So now we have 4 variables. So we have 4 variables. We have the independent, we have the moderator, we have the dependent, and then we have the interaction term. So if we come and check our PowerPoint, we have now 4 variables just as we had in this model. So what we have to do in the next step, let's check. The next step is step number 5, which is now to run the model in AMOS and check the results. So from here we are going to go to AMOS software and then we run this analysis. So for this particular video, this is the end of this tutorial. So the next video, we are going now to run the analysis in AMOS. So make sure now to follow on the next video so that now you can learn how do we carry out this moderation analysis in AMOS, how do we draw this model, and how do we analyze the results of the moderation analysis. Thank you. Welcome again to Dataport Analytics. So this is our last video on moderation analysis. We are looking at how to conduct moderation analysis in SPSS. We are looking at on how to conduct moderation analysis in SPSS, and in our previous video we were preparing the data. Whereby we came up with the 4 variables and also the very variables, and we also calculated the interaction term. So we see that in this video we are going to run this analysis in AMOS so that now we can be able to draw the model. We run the analysis and also we interpret the results to test the moderation analysis. Remember, our model was like this. Just to recap so that you can see our model. This was our model. Our model was investigating whether the moderation analysis, the mental health moderates the relationship between work stress and job performance. So the moderation analysis, or the interaction term between the independent variable and the moderator variable, whether it has a significant effect on the dependent variable. So this is what we are looking at. So we had already prepared our data. So the next thing is to come here in the AMOS software. So we have already opened the AMOS software, and the first step, first of all, is to increase this interface, to expand this white interface. So you click on view interface properties, and then we can select landscape legal, and then you click apply, and then you can see that the interface has expanded. So now we have a bigger space to work on. So the next step is that to import the data, you click on that icon, you click file name, then you'll be taken to where your data has been stored. Let me import my data where I have stored it. So you go up to where your data has been stored, you click on your data, and then you click open, and then your data will be open, and then you click OK, so that now you can import your data to AMOS. Then you can also be able to view your data. When you click that icon here, when you click this icon, list variables in dataset, then you can be able to see your data. So what you do to be able to draw the model is that we have 4 variables. We have job performance. Just drag it. Sorry, we should use the remember we should use the z values. So you click the z values of we click and drag the values to the interface like that. Remember we should use the z values, and then you also have the interaction term. So we delete this one. This one should not be there, so you just remove it like that. So now we have our variables. This is work stress, this is mental health, this is job performance. Job performance is our dependent variable, and then we have the interaction term like that. So the next thing is to draw the arrows, to draw the connection, to connect the variables. So we are connecting the 3 variables to our dependent variable, and then maybe we can align the arrows so that they can appear well. Another thing that we have to put is that we have to put an error term on our dependent variable. You click plugin and then you name the observed variables, and then the error term will be named automatically. So now we have drawn our variables. Then we come here to this icon. We click on this icon so that now we can define our analysis properties. You click new. You click here output. We may be interested in standardized estimates, direct, indirect, and then factor scores. I think that one is all enough. And then you close that tab, and then now you can go to analyze. So when you click to analyze, you click proceed with the analysis like that, and then AMOS will run the analysis. But before it runs the analysis, it will require you to save the model. So we can call it modulation analysis results. We can call it modulation analysis result. Then you click save. Once you click save, the software will automatically run, and then this right icon here will display a green. Then you can click on it, and then the results of your modulation analysis will be displayed. So you have unstandardized results, and we also have the standardized results. So we have unstandardized as well as standardized results. To be able to see the relationship between the variables, you click on this view text icon, and then the results will be displayed like that. What we are interested in is that we are interested in this area of estimates. When you click on estimates, then the results will be displayed. These are the results that we are interested in. This one, the regression weights results. So if you look at the first relationship, is that work stress, the z values of work stress on job performance. You can see this arrow is pointing from work stress to job performance, and you can see that this relationship is significant. So that means that work stress has a significant effect on job performance. If you go to the next, our modulator variable which is mental health, also has a significant. You can see the p-value is highly significant. It is less than 0.000. So our mental health has a significant and a positive. You can see this value here is also positive, has a significant and positive effect on job performance. What we are interested in is this one, this interaction term. So the interaction term, remember, we created it by multiplying the values of our independent and our modulator variable. So what is the effect of our interaction term on our dependent variable? So interaction term has a positive. You can see this estimate, this beta value is positive 0.029, but the p-value is not significant. You can see this is 0.132, which is greater than 0.05. It is not significant. Then it means that this interaction term has no significant effect on job performance. In other words, what we are saying is the interaction between work stress and mental health does not affect job performance. Yeah, what in other words it means is that mental health does not moderate the effect of work stress on job performance. In other words, whenever you see that this interaction term has insignificant influence, or the p-value is not significant, then it means that there is no moderation effect. It simply means that there is no moderation effect. In other words, it means that the inclusion of mental health does not moderate the effect of work stress on job performance. So that is how you interpret the results. In the case that this p-value here was significant, then we could have concluded that there is a significant moderation effect, which means that the mental health has a significant moderator or significantly moderates the effect of work stress on job performance. So that is how you run the moderation analysis in AMOS, and also you interpret the results. Thank you.